The first Sunday of the NFL season is here, and the excitement continues with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. DraftKings is giving all new customers a can't-miss offer to celebrate the return of the NFL season. Bet just $1 on any football game this weekend and receive $200 in free bets instantly, no matter what. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new customers $200 in free bets instantly when they bet at least $1 on any football game. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any Week 1 game. That's promo code THPN to get your free $200 and free bets instantly. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Remember, must be 21 or older in New Jersey, Indiana, and Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or if you're in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Shoots it, deflected right in. Peter Angelo save rebound. Stastny stopped by Pierangelo. I don't believe that save. Even as Peter Stastny. He can't believe the save that Peter Angelo just made on him as Frankie sparkling on that maneuver there to stop and rob Peter Stastny. He should get 5 to 10 for that.
Hello and welcome to episode 47 of Tendy Talk, presented by the BLPA and the Hockey Podcast Networks. This episode being 1 year since my first one, I thought it fitting to bring back my first guest, Nashville Predators emergency backup goalie Dustin Bones Smith. Since I had Dustin on that first episode, I'd say we've become friends and message each other often, and hopefully we get to meet in person in just a few weeks when my wife and I head to Nashville for our 17-year wedding anniversary. So, without further ado, let's get to the conversation with Dustin. Dustin, good to see you again. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Not bad. It's crazy to think a year ago when I had my first episode and you were kind enough to come on, how much has changed for both of us.
Yeah, honestly, like the year kind of snuck up on me. All of a sudden I was looking at my old videos and I saw, wow, 1 year ago I posted my first video. And sure enough, 1 year ago we did this podcast.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy thinking about it. And all the awesome goalies I've had a chance to talk to and connect with. And, I know watching your videos, you've connected with a few too. You've had Cooper Goalie, you've had Kane, Van Gate out, and a couple of others. So yeah, it's been crazy.
Oh yeah, it's been fun. You've been busy though. Like you've been on top of it.
Yeah, it's not easy getting somebody lined up for every week. And then sometimes things happen, whether it be people moving, selling houses, deaths, unexpected deaths in the family, people forgetting they had, vacations lined up. It's like, oh, and I missed one because I was out working on the yard and I didn't get the notification on my watch that I had a podcast coming up. I was like, oh no. So it's kind of fun. You know how much work goes into keeping up with the YouTube, but I can't even imagine how much work it is keeping up with the podcast week to week, lining up people and putting the whole thing together. Yeah, it's fun though. I've been able to connect with some awesome people, yourself included. I mean, how much have we messaged each other back and forth since that first conversation on the podcast?
Oh yeah, no, we chat all the time. Still trying to get you to come down here.
Oh, well, I'll be down there October 21. I land at the airport. We'll be down there, I think, 2, 3 days for our wedding anniversary, me and my wife. And I got to
Oh,
go
that's right.
online.
You did say you were coming down.
Yeah, I got to go online and get tickets for that game still.
Yeah,
Hopefully we can grab some beverages afterwards.
that would be awesome. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still waiting to hear any official word on the emergency goalie stuff. Still kind of in the air, I guess. I mean, I did hear that um, they're planning on using e-bugs again, but
Yeah.
as far as official details yet, they're not sure. So hopefully I'll be there e-bugging a game while you're there.
Yeah. Who knows? Things might go down where they need two e-bugs and we can be on the opposing benches.
I mean, I'm only one person. Yeah, if it
Yeah.
comes down and we need two goalies, maybe you should bring your gear.
Yeah, that would be Disney movie-esque. Yeah, but so
That absolutely would. Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. I mean, we've never been down there, and we've conversed quite a bit this year because we considered moving down to Tennessee. The only problem
Yep.
is the housing market is so crazy. Every time we put an offer in, there were like 30 other people, and people were submitting offers 100 grand over asking, and
Oh man, it's insane.
yeah, I'm like, well, maybe now's not the right time. So it gives us a
Yeah.
little bit because we've never been down there, but we're still going to move sight unseen, kind of.
Yeah.
Um, the houses we put offers in on, it was a real estate agent walking through on FaceTime showing us the house, but which was still scary because I don't know, there's still things you want to see in
Oh, of
person,
course.
not just in
Yeah.
a video conference call. But we're going to come down. We're going to check the area out. And our 5-year plan is to become snowbirds and live down there in the winter and come back up here in the summertime because it's hard to believe in 5 years both kids will be in college. So,
Yeah, that is hard to believe.
yeah.
But I think that's the dream, like just get the snowbird situation going and have your second spot.
Yeah. And, the thing with the kids too is if we kind of have a home base down there, I think even though we tell them they can go to school anywhere, I think they're both kind of homebodies a little bit. So if we have a
Yeah.
place that's kind of they can call home that's close by, opens up a lot more options for them. And one of the reasons we liked Nashville is right now if we draw an 8-hour circle around the Twin Cities, we can get to Chicago, we can get to Milwaukee, we can get to the Dakotas and Iowa, and
Yeah.
that's about it. But when you draw that 8-hour circle around Nashville, there's a lot of places, cool places you can get to.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad are about 9 hours from there. My daughter started going on MapQuest and doing it, and it was a 30-minute longer drive to my mom and dad's than it was to Disney World. So she's like, yeah, I'm okay with moving down there.
Yeah, that's not a bad perk.
Yeah, but right now it's a probably 3-day drive to get to my mom and dad's if we break it up. But if we're living down there, it's we're there in half a day. So
Yeah, and then you add Disney World to the factor, and that sweetens the deal a bit.
exactly. Yeah. So it's still definitely on our radar, and we figure we're gonna go down there. We're gonna check out the area, and then we're already starting to look at land because we figure maybe what we do is we find some land and sit on it, pay it down over 4 or 5 years, and then build a nice little retirement house because we won't need the 4-bedroom, 4-bath place at that point.
You can downsize a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm excited to get down there, see what it's all about.
So what's the plan with the podcast then?
Keep it going. Keeping it
running.
As long as I can schedule guests, I plan on keeping it going. So if that means I got it going for another 600 episodes, fantastic. If it means I got another 20 episodes in me, okay. I want to keep it weekly. I'm kind of putting myself in a box there, I think, at times saying I want to have it weekly, but I think that's the best thing to do. I'm a big fan of planning and, predictability and people knowing, on Tuesdays, for the most part, they can wake up and the podcast is waiting. I like that. There's some podcasts I listen to where it's like, we don't know when they're going to drop one. It could be on a Monday. It could be
Yeah.
on a Saturday. It could be 2 weeks in between. It could be 4 weeks. We don't know.
Yeah.
And
That's how I've been with this whole YouTube stuff. I'm like, I want to post, start it out every Friday. And then I knock like a couple Fridays in a row and it's like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it this one. And then it's that one. Then I'm like, no, I'm going to change it up to Monday. And then it's like, well, it's not going to happen until Tuesday or Wednesday. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I'll post it when I post it.
Yeah. Well, and I think YouTube, it's a little easier to do that too. But God, your videos are awesome. And so that's one thing I got to ask you about. So last time we talked, your vintage set was that cool Gatekeeper set, which we haven't seen in a while. And you've gone a little older. A, why did you want an older set? And B, how did you find it?
I've actually been wanting, old leather pads for a while. I think just kind of that 80s style of play is a lot of fun to watch. And after playing an 80s style, like it's a lot of fun to play too. So I've always really liked the old school look. Like, even I got a face mask now. So, you can throw the face mask on, get that look. And then, you can rock the old Cooper combos and you got a lot of options for a lot of cool, fun looks. And then, so I ended up finding these pads through a guy by the name of Kyle Mayer, who is basically like a gear hunter. Like, I was having a hard time finding pads that were going to be big enough for me because everything seemed to be like tiny. And that's part of the right. And, it was kind of part of the way pads fit too. It's obviously a lot different than it is nowadays. But, he set me up with this guy. I forget what part of Canada he was in. I think it was like Northeast Canada, and super nice older guy. He had a ton of gear. He was just showing me pictures of everything he had. And he's like, yeah, I got these Jofas. If you want them, we worked out a deal. And I actually had him sent to a buddy of mine in Toronto, and he held on to him for a while because I was going to make a trip up. And then COVID started coming around. It's like, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it up. And then, finally he just mailed them to me, and I've been rocking them ever since.
It's funny you mentioned that the equipment was just smaller, and as I went through and got did some of the best of editing, my discussions with Ron Tugnut and Kelly Rudy, that was one thing we talked about, is the equipment was smaller, which there were a lot more opportunities for the puck to hit bare flesh. And so your reflexes were almost a little bit better back then because you didn't want it, and that's the difference between goaltending today. We're much better covered. So it's more of a blocking than it is reflexes. And it's all because of the equipment.
Yeah. I can definitely say there's a lot of soft spots, rocking the old school chest protectors. Like there's pretty much nothing there. Even the pants, I was like, dude, like these are not like player pants nowadays is more protective.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Oh man. So I wear like a Vaughn padded shirt under the chest protector for added protection. I wear a player girdle under my old school pants just for the added protection, just so like I can enjoy it more. I'm not so worried about getting hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I can flop around and, not worried about getting hit in a soft spot or anything, but they're definitely still there.
Yeah. It definitely helps you stay square to the puck because there's nothing on the sides anywhere. But I heard the story that Grant Fuhr would take the thigh pads out of his breezers in practice just to help his reflexes and get quicker hands.
See, like that's the reason why goalies have this rep for being crazy and like weird, because that is crazy and weird. Like you would never hear a goalie nowadays taking the padding out of anything.
No.
Just to help improve his reflexes. Like, nowadays it's like, oh, I'm going to go try this like computer program that helps refine my reflexes. Now, like back then it's like, I'm going to put myself in a dangerous situation that I have to reflex faster.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was like, I've told the story on the podcast when I was in high school, my hands were just off. And so the coach took me out a little bit early. He's like, leave your mask on the net, and just started shooting at me. And I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. But like you said, today there's other ways of doing it, not putting yourself in danger. So I have to ask this question. So you do a lot of cool videos with the vintage set. And in those videos, it's kind of a controlled situation. You can tell the shooters where to shoot. Are you wearing this vintage set in beer league games where you have no control over that, or
no, not a chance. Not a chance. I mean, everything so far has been like, just jump on the ice for like a stick and puck with some friends, or, an open hockey where it's not as serious and guys are just out there having fun, but
they're not lifting the puck as much.
Right. So I actually got invited to, it was like a coach's skate. I got a buddy who does a lot of coaching stuff, and he said, hey, we got an invite coach's skate. Do you want to come out? I'm like, yeah, what kind of level are we talking about here? Because it seems like a fun opportunity, another controlled environment that I can wear my vintage stuff. And he's like, yeah, definitely bring it out. It'll be fun. Nobody's really that good or anything like that. And I get out there, and it's like Cody Hodgson, who used to play for the Preds, a couple guys that I play like A-League with, some other guys that like just got done playing college. And I'm like, yo, I'm in like nothing right now. Yeah. And like, I've never been afraid of the puck, but after taking a couple to my palm and getting a couple in some weird spots, I was like terrified. Yeah. Like guys would come down and cross the blue line. I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens. I don't know. Like, it's terrifying. That's the only, I guess, uncontrolled environment that I was in.
It's interesting that you say terrifying, because that was, I think it was the conversation I had with Kelly Rudy, where we talked about kids today aren't afraid of the puck. And there was a certain fear of the puck when we were coming up that I think made us better goalies. It's like, if I don't do this properly, it's going to hurt. So I better be paying attention. I better stay square of the puck. And they don't have that fear anymore, good or bad. It's just one of those things that is out there. And, I think bringing a little bit of that fear back to the position might not be a bad thing.
No. And it really gives you an appreciation for the position, a lot of respect for, older goalies coming up and realizing like that mentality, that perspective, but also like, going back to my regular gear, I was like, I'm a tank. Like I am literally a goalie tank standing in front of a net.
Well, and like you've got 3 different eras of equipment. You got that vintage set, you got your modern true set, and then you got that Gatekeeper set. How do you feel when you put that Gatekeeper set on after the vintage set? Do you still feel like that tank, like, nothing's going to get me? Or
yeah, it's definitely a tank feel, but it's also kind of like a State Puff Marshmallow Man feel, because it's pre the new NHL sizing. I guess the Gatekeeper was right around when that was happening.
But goalies were still trying to cover as much net with it. Yeah.
Yes. So they're a little bit fluffier feeling. They're a little bit wider, but definitely a bit more of a blocking feel than even today. I feel like the position has moved away from the blocking so much and more into a bit reactive, but
the athleticism's coming back.
Yeah, it seems like it's a lot more smarter than harder, where guys are focusing a lot more on skating technique and standing on their feet more, where kind of that Gatekeeper era was just drop and block.
Yep, exactly. It was that Quebec butterfly, get in the right position, arms in, gloves to the side, a good flare for the pass.
JS Jaguar, that's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. And you see it with guys like Vasilevsky and my new favorite Blackhawks goaltender, Marc-Andre Fleury.
That's awesome.
They have some of that 80s mentality of, the play is never over. Where right. I think some of these kids today, it's like, oh, I've done what I've been taught to do. I'm not in position. I guess I don't have a chance, where some of these guys are bringing back that never give
scramble to fight.
Yeah. I forget who I was talking to, and we were talking about playing the game of rebound at the end of practice. And that's all that was. It was, how do you react when you're out of position, because every shot after that first one, that's all it was. It's like you just had to.
Yeah, love rebound game. That's one of my favorite things to do.
I think
you've probably seen the video of Fleury, right, where he's flopping around.
And he just makes an incredible save.
Unreal.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, you've got the combo and now the old school 70s mask.
Yeah.
How many pucks have you taken off of the head with those masks, and how did it feel?
So with the combos, I've taken a few actually. Actually, in the one where I felt like I was, definitely shouldn't have been there in vintage gear, Cody Hodgson hits me square in the face, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, like what am I doing right now?
Yeah.
But with the combos, I'm pretty impressed with the protection. Like,
yep.
I haven't really had anything that I felt like was not safe. I did take a puck to the face in my Hashik cage. I think it's an HM50.
Yep.
And it dented in and, completely ruined the cage. But again, like I felt
it did what it was supposed to. It was supposed to dent and protect you. Yeah. I wore a Hashik helmet for.
Yeah. I mean, it protected the face, but the face mask. Yeah.
Yeah. I wore a Hashik helmet for a year in college. And I mean, that was great competition. And I was getting shots to the head, at least one a practice. And, I always felt protected until the last day I wore it, when Joe Duda, he took a slap shot from top of the circle. And he was the one kid who, if he hits you in the head, he wasn't aiming because he had no control over a shot to begin with. It was, but
his
he also
eyes are probably closed.
Yeah. But he also had one of the hardest shots, and it just hit me square on the Cooper, cracked the helmet on the Cooper, gave me a concussion. And right after he took that shot, coach blows the whistle. We all go over to the bench to find out what the next drill was, and sends everybody on their way. And I'm still standing there, and he goes, "What? Like, what now?" And I go, I feel kind of funny. And then he kind of looked at my helmet and saw that it was cracked. And he goes, "You need to go over to the trainer," because our trainer always sat in the penalty box during practices. And I looked at him, I was like, "No." He's like, "What do you mean no?" He's like, "Because if I go over there, they're going to tell me I can't skate for a week because I'm in concussion protocol." And he goes,
"Right,
you need to go over there." So I'm going over there, starting to take my helmet off and my chest protector. I was like, I know it was such a mild concussion, but I knew I had one at that point where it's like, no, I don't want to go, because freshman year I just had a hell of a concussion that took me out for a couple of weeks. So luckily it was the last game before Christmas break, so I didn't miss any playing time, but still it was like, no, I don't want to go through this again.
Right.
Yeah. It was no fun.
Yeah, no, luckily I haven't had to deal with anything like that. With the face mask, I've only worn that on the ice once, and it was a very controlled situation. And honestly, like after putting it on and skating or whatever, it was almost scary how I didn't even think about it. Like I had my buddy coming in, we played 3-puck, and he shot a couple pucks at me, and it felt no different than wearing a combo. And I think that's kind of the scary part, where like, I can definitely see myself getting a little too comfortable, and then, maybe taking one off the face or something like that. And then I think that's the moment where it would be like, oh, now I don't feel safe in this. But, right now I don't know. It's that ignorance is bliss right now.
I haven't worn the Kevlar mask like that on the ice, but when I was a kid growing up, I had the plastic Milek one,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got one of those sitting over here right now, actually.
And that's what I played street hockey in. And I took a heck of a lot of shots to the face in those things. And you're getting punched in the face when you're wearing one of them. The only difference is, instead of, getting the big old, cut on your face, you just get a big old bruise. That's all it's doing. It's preventing you from getting cut. But yeah, you look cool. That's for sure. So
yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. So yeah. I mean, like with the face mask especially, I definitely controlled situations. Combos I can get a little more, have a little more fun with.
Yep.
Because I'll throw a combo on with my modern gear too, just because I think that's fun too.
Yeah, and it looks good. One of my buddies up here, he had a it looks like the old Cooper helmet, but it's modern day technology, the full carbon fiberglass.
Those are awesome.
Of that.
I really like those.
Because he has a sweet Vaughn Richter tribute set. So he wanted the combo to go with it. It looks so cool. But yeah, those combos, there's a little more confidence when you're skating with them in modern day
Yeah.
hockey. That's for sure. So you had Kane Van Gate, and I always butcher his name.
I think everybody does.
Yeah, he probably does too. It's Casimir, right?
Casimir Kaskasuo.
Yeah, and I should know how to say the name because one, he went to UMD, and two, his wife actually was a classmate of my nephew's.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, she's from literally the town that neighbors where I live. So
small world, right?
I should know how to say the name, but you were on the ice with those two for the video, and I know Casimir tried on the equipment. What did he think of it?
He was impressed. It's one of those things for a lot of goalies that it's kind of on their bucket list to try out, or something they've always kind of been interested, kind of like myself, really. So he tried it out. He said the same. Oh, it was a bucket list opportunity, and but he said the same thing I did, which is you got to have respect for the guys that play the game before, because there's not a lot of protection, and he had it on, and obviously a very controlled situation too, but he had a blast. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, and he had those sweet bowers with Nashville too that looked like
reactor fours.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are sweet. Those are kind of cool to see in person too, because they look good in pictures and everything, but being able to see it up close in person is totally different.
If I were to go Bauer Digiprint, I would go with the Reactor 5s, but I would have that Belfour look with the red outer rolls and the black and white altar. To me, that's just the all-time greatest looking setup.
So did he Sharpie those? I think I heard something about he Sharpie those himself.
Yeah, so I think I asked him when I had him on my podcast, but yeah, the first set came and they were all white, and it was, he just felt like it needed something. So he took a Sharpie, and then the next set he got, they started doing that. Because I remember, I did ask him. I said, "Now, did you use a fine tip Sharpie, or did you get one of those like really fat ones?" Yeah, and he started laughing. It was funny because that episode with Eddie Belfour was awesome for me. Definitely a highlight because that was my childhood hero.
Right.
In fact, I've got my bottle of whiskey that they sent me afterwards over my shoulder. Awesome. There. And I'm not a whiskey drinker, but that stuff is good.
I've been wondering. I mean, obviously you see it pop around on social media. So I was wondering how good it actually is. Yeah.
If I wasn't bringing carry-ons down to Nashville, I'd put it in my bag and bring it with for you. But yeah, it is good. It's smooth. Now my father-in-law is kind of a whiskey snob. He'll only drink, some pretty expensive stuff, and he tried it and he's like, "Yep, this is good. I'll drink this if I run out of the other stuff."
Well, there you go.
So yeah, it's a really good, and this has come from somebody who doesn't like whiskey. So I think that says something about how smooth it is. I mean, it doesn't have that jet fuel aftertaste. It's more of that. So, but yeah, that was just a fun phone call because I did it with him and his son, Dane. And that's Dane awesome. Hopped on the call first, and we're talking because Dane and I played for the same youth hockey association. So we're talking about the old rink and, the pro shop across the street and the guy that ran it, Linus, who was a goalie. So he was very much into equipment too. In fact, if you follow some of the different forums on Facebook, Ice Gear goalie equipment, they sold that at the shop across the street. It was their white label equipment. So Dane and I are talking about that, and then Ed pops into the call, and we totally ignore him. Dane and I are just talking, and then all of a sudden we're like,
too busy catching up.
Oh, hi, Ed. And I think that kind of loosened him up for the conversation. Because,
that's awesome. Oh, by the way, hi, Eddie.
Yeah, because I've listened to some of the other hockey podcasts he's been on, and he was a little reserved, because you're talking to people you don't know. But I think when he saw me and Dane just kind of hitting it off, he was like, okay, this is going to be lighthearted. So he opened up, had some good stories, and it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I remember asking him about that, and he kind of chuckled. But yeah, I mean, you talk about a gear nerd, and it was funny because even Dane was talking. He's like, yeah, Dad would be like, get a new set of pads and be like, yep, there's a shutout in these. And he's like, and I'm a gear guy too. And I never put a pair of pads on. I was like, yeah, there's a shutout in these.
Yeah, goalies like get kind of I guess attached to a set of gear after playing in them a certain way. So it's like it's kind of funny to hear Belfort talk like that too.
Well, and he was even back then known for being the guy that worked on his own equipment. Like he was famous for sharpening his own skates like every time he skated. I know for a while from what I heard at the pro shop, even when he was in some of the name brand equipment, it was still Benn Miller pads. Benn Miller was making them, and then he was facing them with the graphics. So it was like he was taking the check from the big guys, but still getting exactly what he wanted in a pad. I mean, those early years, I mean, he had great saves pads, a brown blocker, to Brian's.
He was like, a little all over the place,
mismatched, but the one thing I loved about Belfort is his sticks. His, whether it was when he was in Christian or Bauer, Cooper Bauer, those were phenomenal sticks. In fact, my all-time favorite stick, I've said it many times on the podcast, is that Bauer Reactor 5 with his curve is just the greatest stick, in my opinion.
The best stick ever.
It was. Well, what I liked about it is it was durable but light. And you know how, especially in the foam core wood stick era, the paddle was kind of rounded on either end, almost like a airplane wing. This one, it was flat on both sides.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
It just kind of tapered at the ends, and I felt that gave me more control. And you see that now in some of the composite sticks, where toward the top of the paddle it's flat, but like that whole thing was just flat. And to me, that made a great stick. In fact, again, mentioning Kelly Rudy, when I told him that, he goes, "Yeah, I used those sticks for a couple of years too, and I really liked that."
Yeah, I mean, sticks nowadays, it's hard to find durability in a lot of these sticks. The performance is definitely there. They're super light, obviously, and you get a great feel for the puck, but durability is tough to come by. So I usually try to hold on to a couple foam core sticks, so I can they're just my beater sticks. Just go out to a practice, and if I take a couple pucks to the shaft, I don't have to worry about breaking or anything like that. So that's I still like to have a couple foam cores around.
That's why I haven't switched to composites yet. And my Warrior's probably 4 years old, and so it's like, it's gonna die here soon. So I'm starting to look, and Christian makes goalie sticks again, and I'm kind of looking at it going, do I order a couple from them because they're wood foam core
and they're Christian sticks, so why not?
Yeah, and I got a new set on the way, and they will look mighty sweet with the new set.
That's got to be coming up, right?
Yeah, the day this podcast will drop, it'll be 10 weeks since I ordered them. Now at the pro shop, they said it's 10 to 12 week wait. But when I talked to Ed from Vaughn, he goes, no, it's more like a 12 to 14 wait right now. So I was like, okay, good to know. I've gotten the proofs for the gloves, and they look amazing.
That's awesome, man. I'm so excited for you, because it's obviously been a while.
21 years. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. And when I went to the shop to get fitted, we were looking at the different pads, and my current pads are a 34. I'm going down to, I think it was a 31, just because of the way the pad construction is now. Because I tried them on in a pair of modern 31s, V9 31s, and from the ankle to the knee is the exact same measurement as the 34s are, that I have.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed.
And then the guy's like, and a +2 is like, nah, I think +2 is a little too much. And so we started looking, and because it's like, I do want something, because currently when I go down, even though I get my legs completely together, there's still a gap like that between my legs, on the ice. And so we're like, well, we settled on a +1. And so we'll see. 31, I think is it 31 or 32? I don't know. I have to go back and look. In fact, I don't think it'll be on my receipt, which I have sitting around here somewhere.
I mean, with the thigh rise, the trend not too long ago was to get pads that were just big. And I followed that same trend. It was like, oh, I need 36 +2. And it's like a massive pad. And, when you drop, you end up overlapping your pads, and it's hard to skate. And And it wasn't until I finally got a set of pads that actually fit me that I was like, wow, I feel so much better. Like my butterfly, like I'm not falling on top of myself. I can move so much better. And I think we're finally starting to see that trend pick up more and more, where goalies are looking for pads that actually fit them instead of trying to maximize coverage.
Well, and I was talking to the fellow Tori at the pro shop, and he had seen some of my videos, and he's like, yeah, you don't want anything that's too tall with the way you play, because
oh yeah,
I still play that 80s 90s style.
I love watching you play, man, because you really are like you play that style so well.
Yeah, like I'm not stacking the pads because it's cool. I'm stacking the pads because that's the way I was taught.
That's how you play.
And a couple times, I almost haven't done the skate save in a while, but I'm still kicking that leg out with the blocker, and it's like can't do that with the +2, and a pad that's probably 2 sizes too big anyway. Which that was one of the conversations we've had, that we got to get on the ice together, do some content so I can teach you proper 2-pad stack recovery the way we used to be taught.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of
I feel like I actually need that, because I'm just trying to, because I'm just trying to learn from, watching videos like you. There's, Jim Park's The Puck Stops Here videos that I'm trying to watch. And there's only so much you can learn from watching a old DVD and then jumping on the ice and saying, I think
I'll have to put it out there, because we're going to do the backyard rink again this year, and I'm pretty sure they'll have the Let's Play Hockey Expo. If you make it up here for that, bring your equipment, and we'll go back out on the backyard rink and do some content.
Yes, I would love that, because after this last year of doing YouTube stuff, like I had a lot of fun kind of learning how to make videos and everything like that. Now that I kind of feel like I've got a bit more of a style established and everything like that, I want to start taking things on the road. So it'd be great to go visit you and jump on the ice, do some, learn how to play the 80s style. No,
it'd be fun. Hell, just going to the Let's Play Hockey Expo would probably give you 3 episodes worth of content right there.
That'd be fun just to go in general, like content or not. Obviously, I would definitely try to do something like that. But I've always wanted to go to that.
It's worth it. When I first started taking my boy, I think he was 4, and back then Bauer, they had like a third of the expo, and they like had these giant curtains up, so like you walked in, it was the Bauer experience. And CCM had a huge presence. Easton was still in the hockey game, so they had a huge booth. Warrior had a huge booth, especially because they were just coming out with their goalie equipment. That was the fun part. So my boy was only 3 or 4, and they had this just tiny set of goalie equipment, and it was more for the novelty of it. And we go up, and my son sees it, and he puts it on. It's the perfect size for him. And they're like, they're loving it. They're taking pictures and posting it on their own social media. Well, every year since then that I've taken my son, he's now 13, we've taken pictures of him in goalie equipment. It's kind of like the Minnesota growth chart and the goalie equipment.
That is hilarious.
So it's been fun. But now, the big guys don't have a presence there anymore, which sucks from the standpoint that they always had awesome giveaways for free. Cool. CCM usually had a hat or a t-shirt. The one year it was a hockey belt for your jeans. It was awesome. So that kind of sucks. But what it does do is it encourages you to go to the smaller booths and see some of the cool stuff they have. Of course, Howie's Hockey Tape has a nice booth there. But there's just some cool booths that you wind up spending more time at and checking them out. So that's kind of the flip side, where I'm kind of like, okay, I kind of like it that way. Used to bring some of my nephews, but they've kind of gotten older and drifted away a little bit. So, but me and my boy, we still take them out of school on Friday, and we go down.
Keeping the tradition.
Yeah, well, and here in Minnesota, it's kind of an unofficial holiday week. So when the state tournament starts, if you miss school because of the tournament or the expo, it's unofficial excused absence per se. But if your school is actually in the tournament, then it is an excused absence to go down to the games. And they'll even have buses from the school to get the kids down there and everything. And past few years, my kids' school has been in the tournament. In fact, 2 years ago that they won it. So
no way.
Yeah. So that makes it a little bit easier to be like, yeah, Gus isn't going to be in school today. Okay. Sounds good. Have fun.
Cool. Yeah. Go do your thing.
Yeah. In fact, the last Expo, it was right before they shut everything down for COVID. Like we're down, everybody's like, are they going to get this tournament in and the Expo and everything? And they did. And I think it was like Tuesday, they shut the state down.
Oh, that's awesome. The state's like, let's just hold on for this tournament. Yeah. Okay, now we can shut it down.
Yeah. There's two things in Minnesota they hold near and dear: the high school hockey tournament and the state fair. This week, the state fair is back on. Last year, they canceled it. State fair is back on. And how do you make a mask mandate at a state fair when the whole idea is to walk around eating food? And so they're like, yeah, no mask mandates, but anywhere else you go in the state, you should probably be wearing a mask. And we're like, so we're sending all these families are going to the state fair, and attendance has been down this year, but all these people are going to the state fair, huge crowds. And then on Tuesday, when the kids go back to school, you're gonna be like, now you got to wear a mask. So everybody's like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? But also they're kind of like, just go have fun for a weekend, for a week, like do it. And then we'll get back on it.
Yeah. But it's like, some people are like, do we see the irony here?
You're right. Yeah. I mean, that's cool that you guys still get to go and have all that, because I mean, like you said, it's such a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, for a long time, it was a state law that you couldn't start school until the day after Labor Day, because our state fair always ends on Labor Day. And it was an opportunity for the FFA kids to go to the state fair and, present their animals or their crops or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now that, there's not it's still a huge farming state, but there's a lot more Twin Cities schools and everything else. So some schools do start before Labor Day, but most of them still hold true to that now unofficial state law of no school before Labor Day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. Well, summer's so short here in Minnesota, so we got to enjoy the weather.
Got to soak it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have to ask you had that collab video with Kane and Casimir. How was that, getting the three of you together and getting Kane out there? I've talked to him a couple of times. He's such an awesome guy.
Yeah, I met him for the first time during the Goal of a Lifetime competition down in Florida.
Yeah.
Super nice dude. Meeting him back then, we just kind of kept in touch, and then him and Kaz got in contact, and they're like, hey, like we should all get together and do like some YouTube stuff. So it was really nice to have KVG come down, hang out with him, hanging out with Kaz, and just kind of like a completely goalie nerd situation. Because before we even got on the ice, we had some friends there that were helping out. One of my buddies, Goose, came to shoot. He's a goalie coach. So we're standing in the locker room and we're just talking about gear, and we're like, okay, we gotta get things going. We can sit here and talk about goalie stuff literally all day.
The ice is only available for a short amount of time. Right,
exactly. So I had my own video that we shot and filmed, and I think I might end up dropping that next week, but kind of a bummer that I forgot to turn my microphone on halfway through, so kind of had to do like a workaround with that. But it's such a fun video and such a fun group.
Yeah,
there was a moment where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna post it because the audio is messed up, and like, no, you know what, like it's such a fun thing, and that's with such great people involved that I'd have to at least just put it up.
Well, working in marketing, one thing we always say is it doesn't matter the quality as long as the content is awesome. If the content is awesome, it doesn't matter. And it's funny you mentioned that, the three of you are just kind of in your own, because when I had Kane on, I said, his hockey journey movie's awesome. And, we thought about doing, sequels and, coming to the hockey expo, and he's been to the expo, but didn't video any of it, but he's like, absolutely. He's like, well, if you come up, we need to get out on the backyard rink together. It's like, and then maybe we get Bones here. And so it's like, I'm just going to put it out there now. Kane, if you're listening to this episode, plan on coming to the Expo this year. We'll get Dustin up here and we'll do some fun stuff out on the backyard rink or find a cool outdoor rink, you know, somewhere in the metro. There's plenty of them. I know where quite a few are, and we'll do some sweet stuff. And I'll teach you to how to do some old school recoveries.
Yeah. Kaner, we need that. Let's go.
Yeah.
Get on it.
Yeah. That would be pretty fun. So I know you've been on the ice quite a bit just from the different videos, but how's hockey gone for you through COVID, you know, in terms of the regular season?
For regular season, Preds obviously had the taxi squad, so I wasn't doing any emergency goalie stuff, which was a bummer, but you know, at the same time, there was, you know, hands are kind of tied. So I only went to a couple games. It was kind of crazy going to the games that I went to, because it's like, oh, you know, I was used to going to games, and now it's totally different situations. So you know, a lot of men's league for me. There were actually a lot of guys that were still skating and training and stuff like that. So I ended up doing a lot of these fun kind of training sessions with a lot of people throughout the year. But you know, looking forward to kind of getting back into some normalcy come this year, hopefully, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah, I am too. You know, the email went out for our team, like, hey, who's interested coming back? And all the team was like, yeah, we're on. And then I get a text from another team that I filled in for. That's a division ahead of us. And they're like, hey, are you still skating with the Hosers? Because our goalie's having surgery this fall and we need a goalie. And it's like, I'm skating with the Hosers, but I know our schedules typically, you know, don't overlap too much. There's only a few games. It's like, I'm good doing double duty. And he's like, okay, that works. And then, you know, the few games that they would need a goalie, I could help them find one. He's like, all right, yeah, let's plan on that. And then like the day before it was final to start, submit teams for the season, they started doing mask mandates indoors and stuff here. And our captain was like, you know what? My gut tells me at some point the state's going to bring back wearing a mask on the ice again. We're going to take a break until the winter season. I'm like, oh, you're killing me. So then I text this other team and was like, hey, I'm yours full time. And he's like, great. Well, we did find another goalie. He's like, but don't worry, we're going to get you in as much as possible. I mean, to the point where still, he's like, I'm putting you on our roster, because we do it really cool at the Super Rink. You have to submit your roster, prove you've got your USA Hockey membership, and then each player gets a sticker for their helmet, so that it helps prevent bringing in ringers. I mean, you can still bring in a ringer if they're playing on another division or something, but it helps prevent that, you know, if you don't have that sticker on your helmet. And I've seen them check helmets, you know, or they notice a guy doesn't have one midway through a game, and they're like, hey,
you ain't got to
sit down. And a lot of the time, as long as it's not a playoff game, or in playoff games, they check everybody's helmet before the game starts. But as long as it's not a playoff game, they'll just be like, you're done for the rest of the game, you know, just, and they're like, okay, fair enough. We did have one player though. He wound up getting a new helmet midway through the season. So he goes up to the ref. He's like, look, I have my old helmet here. It has a sticker, but I got a new helmet. And the ref starts laughing. He's like, okay, that works.
Right. Got to make sure you have the sticker with you at least.
Yeah. So this other team, they put me on their roster just so they never check goalies, because refs are like, as long as we got goalies, we're happy. And I tend not to put the sticker on my helmet, because I always go with these huge stickers where it's like, I'm not putting that on my goalie mask. One time they were getting a little checking them a lot, so I put it on the inside and the chin, so it's like, it's here. But yeah, so that they're like, we're going to make sure we're legal, have you ready to go, so nobody complains. That's cool. Hopefully, and I get probably 3-4 texts a week saying, hey, we need a goalie, which normally I would say, yeah, but we're in the middle of a kitchen remodel. One of my teammates is actually helping me with it, and he'll be coming over in probably an hour or two to do some more work today. But it's like, probably shouldn't be going to the rink, getting some skates in while, we got this going on. And my wife even said, she's like, I'm trying to get all of this done so that when your new equipment comes, all you have to do is worry about playing some hockey. It's like, that's why I married you.
Yeah.
You know,
That's awesome.
the night of our first date, when we came back to my dorm room and she picked out Slapshot to watch as a movie, as like, I knew at that point she was the keeper.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You knew right away.
And then
Good
when
for
we're
you.
going to Nashville for an anniversary trip, and she goes, yeah, I made sure that we were going when the Predators were in town so we could try and get tickets. Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. You guys are doing just fine.
Yeah, she's a good woman. So being mindful of time, we've been talking a little while, not a big surprise. We did this on the first episode, and I've done it every episode since, with the exception of, I think, Don Strauss, because he didn't play hockey growing up. So it was kind of hard to ask him what his favorite post-game beer was or his best chirp when you grew up in the auto industry.
Right.
I'm still going to ask the rapid fire questions because they may have changed over the last year.
Let's get after it.
So what's the craziest coaching moment from the playing days?
Craziest coaching moment. I was playing pretty well, and I think I gave up like one, kind of halfway through the first, and I gave up another one not too long after that. And I still felt like I was playing pretty well, and I got the hook, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I think we were tied. And even the players on the bench were like, yo, why'd you give him the hook? And he's like, oh, you guys aren't playing well in front of them. We're getting him out of there. And I was like, man, I don't know if I like that call.
Yeah.
But, looking back on it, you see that here and there where it's like, you're not playing well in front of our goalie. Let's get another guy in here. Kind of a message to be sent to the team. But, as a younger lad, I didn't understand that message.
Yeah, that's having coached. That's one of those moves I think works better at the older levels than it does the younger levels. Because at the younger level, the team just looks at it and goes, oh, the goalie wasn't playing good, they took him out. Where at the older level, if your goalie's playing good and you're behind and the coach pulls them, it's like, oh, we better pick it up.
Right. Yeah.
I get that. Absolutely. So now that you've tried on a couple different masks, it might have changed your perspective. What's your favorite all-time goalie masks?
Favorite I haven't worn the face mask enough to really consider that a favorite. It's a lot of fun to put on. I mean, I like my CCM mask that I have now just because it's protective, and I like that mask because the first time I put my CCM mask on, it really felt like it just fit me perfect. I like the style that it has. It's not that typical kind of Bauer shape that a lot of other masks have. And, I just felt like it really kind of fit not only my head, my face, but my style too. So I think I'm going to go with my CCM mask.
I like it. So what is your favorite rink that you've played at?
So do outdoor rinks count?
Absolutely.
Lake Louise. I went and played with Pavel Barber up in Lake Louise, and just the most incredible setting to play hockey at. Also the coldest setting that I had been on. I mean, I think at one point, I had gloves on under my gloves, and I think it was just too tight because I couldn't feel my fingers anymore. So I had to like kind of get some blood flow going through there. But I think me and my buddy Colby Collier, we're talking about making another trip out there at some point, meeting up with putting the band back together with Justin from Hockey Sport Test and Pavel Barber, and getting our buddy Goose out there too.
Yeah, and those pictures you have from that skate are just phenomenal.
Yeah. They're incredible. Yeah. I mean, Colby did a great job with the media stuff, but this time around I'll have my own media to worry about. So won't be able to just soak in the moment as well as I did before, but it'll be fun. I'm assuming we can actually do it again.
Yeah, that looks amazing. It's definitely a bucket list, I think, for a lot of hockey players to play there. So I mentioned mine already. What's your favorite goalie stick that you've used?
So I ended up getting a few sticks from Pekka. I would just so happen to be in the practice locker room. I was actually getting a jersey signed for my girlfriend. It was a PK jersey. And, they had a table and players are walking by after a meeting and, they're autographing stuff, and Pex comes walking by, he says hi. And he's like, hey, do you want any sticks? I was like, yeah, I could always use some sticks. And he hands me, I think it was a CCM Premier stick. And I was like, oh, cool, thanks. And then he pulls out another one, hands it to me. I'm like, whoa, thank you so much. And he pulls out a third one. And I'm like, buddy, what are you doing? They're going to think I stole these,
Yeah.
But it was a shorter paddle. And, I hadn't really tried a shorter paddle, and like the overall length of the stick was shorter too. And, I think changing things up in the stick department, something I hadn't really thought about doing, really kind of changed things. And also he taped the like part right above the paddle, right where his hand grips.
Yeah.
And when he handed them to me, I'm like, oh, I'll have to take these off because I don't know if I like that. And after trying them, I'm like, wow, I actually really like this. So, him handing me those sticks really kind of changed my perspective on sticks in general. Plus, they were just really nice sticks.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned how he tapes the sticks. I know Casimir has the trigger grip in his sticks, and I've always wanted to try one of those. I just don't trust my cutting. Well, I didn't trust my cutting skills. I've gotten a lot better with all the home renovations this past year. So if I order a few Christians, I might cut a trigger grip in one of them.
I give it a try.
Yeah, no,
so he ended up giving me a couple of those actually, and I've been trying them out, and the first time I tried it out, I was like, wow, this is really weird, because you're so used to your fingers being in certain spots, and you do get a better grip on the stick and better leverage, but it is definitely an adjustment.
Well, I like the idea too, because the way I hold my stick, I almost start to wrap that index finger around it anyway. And then when I put my paddle down, every now and then I go too quick and I get blood blisters. So I'm like, the trigger grip would eliminate that. Now I do have, I don't know if you've seen the Goalie Guru attachment for the sticks, which gives you, I've got one of those. I've used that. And I've had the talk with Corey. In fact, he's been at the Let's Play Hockey Expo selling his Goalie Guru attachments, but I've skated with Corey and talked to him a couple of times. And the issue I had is because I'm using foam core, the adhesive didn't stick too great. And he actually took that and factored that into his 2.0 version.
Nice.
But what I've done is I've taken some sandpaper, sanded a little bit, kind of gave the glue something else to attach to. But what he has found is it does definitely stick better to the composites than it does the wood sticks. But I've gotten it to stick on there. I do like it. It takes some getting used to. I think when I use it, because I've had it fall off a couple times, I'm always worried it's going to fall off. And so I think about that more than I do just holding onto the stick. But I do like it. I like the greater control, and it prevents me from kind of pulling that finger up too far and wrapping it around and getting it pinched on the ice. So
that's not a good feeling.
Yeah, but I do like the idea of a trigger grip and keep kind of toying with it. And so I'm going to have to try it here soon.
Worth a shot.
Yeah. So what is your favorite? I'm going to change this one up, because last time you talked about your favorite youth hockey memory. What is your favorite hockey memory from the last year?
From the last year, actually, I've had a lot of fun this last year. You know what? We ended up having kind of this crazy snowstorm roll through. It's not very common for Nashville to get a lot of snow, or let alone, anything freezing over. But we ended up finding Colby Collier, guy I mentioned earlier. He does MD Media, and he had a big runoff that froze over by his house. And so me and some buddies all went over there, and it was cool because you're walking through the woods almost, and it's kind of snowing, and you pop out into this opening, and there's this frozen runoff that everyone's playing hockey on. So I think this last year, that might be one of the more fun moments.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned how there's not a lot of snow down there, and we were talking to our kids when we thought we'd be moving down there this summer, and we said, they only get 4 inches of snow on average a year. like total. And my kids started laughing. They're like, that's it? That's like an average snowfall here. And we're like, yeah, we know.
Right.
It's like, but they get the
Yep.
ice storms that we don't get. In fact, but
Right.
talking about the last year, we had an ice storm that turned our roads into ice rinks. And so
Yep.
first time I've skated on forward skates probably in 30 years, pulled out a pair of forward skates that fit me and skated down the street because I didn't want to ruin my blades.
Right.
But it was
Yeah,
just
you don't get a
of,
lot of opportunities like that.
Yeah, it was just kind of fun to do. Yeah. So what's the best chirp you've heard on the ice, off the ice, directed at you, not directed at you, or you've told somebody?
You know what? Like I don't really hear a lot of chirps from a lot of people, and I don't really dish out very many chirps. I usually, if anything's directed at me, it's usually after a save and it's an F you Bonesy, or if I get scored on, it's usually like suck it Bonesy. So yeah, not a lot of chirps, not a lot of there was I was skating with the 18U AAA junior preds, and we were just doing a practice, whatever, and I ended up miking myself up, and one of the kids leans like, "Hi, Mom. I hope my dog's watching this." You know, he was having fun with it, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, not a lot of chirps, not a lot of trash talking going on, unless it's just like a very direct something towards me.
It is kind of fun now when you got the GoPro up behind the net in a game and you make a big save, and you know somebody from the opposing team will come up to you and be like, "Well, that better make it onto the highlight video."
Yeah, that definitely makes it fun.
Yeah. So what's the worst post-game beer you've had?
The worst. I can't say that I've had a bad post-game beer. Usually, like at that point, it's like everything is good, and there's not a lot of beers that I'm like, "Ugh, just terrible. I'll never give this to me ever again."
See, now last time we talked, you did have an answer for this, and it was the time you came up to Minnesota to skate, and they had beers in the parking lot after the game, but the only problem was
freezing.
It was February.
Yeah. I didn't want to stand out there that long.
Yeah,
I remember standing there and they kept like handing out beers. And I'm like, I'm here for one night. Like I just flew in for that night to play with them, and I'm like, I'm freezing, man. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah. The only time I've had parking lot beers in the middle of winter was during COVID, when we had 15 minutes after the skate to get out of the rink.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, we're going to go have a beer in the parking lot because it's cold.
All beer. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, drink it before it freezes and get in the warm car.
Yep.
Yeah. Because during COVID, not only were they making us wear masks on the ice, but you were only allowed in the rink 15 minutes before the skate. And skaters had to come pretty much fully dressed with everything but their helmet and their skates on. So, you know, all of these adults are driving in their car and they're full equipment. They're like, I feel like a sport who can drive. But goalies, like, we can't get ready before we get to the rink. And then they're only giving us 15 minutes. One of the rinks I got to early, and guys like, you guys only got 15 minutes. I was like, I am old.
I'm a goalie.
I was like, I'm old, and I got 7 leather straps on each pad. And he looks at me and goes, you're okay. He's like,
yeah.
And then he goes, you're going to be sitting in that locker room alone anyway, so what's the big deal?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's one thing I'm looking forward to with my new pads is not having 7 leather straps. Like after a game, it's 2, maybe 3 Velcro straps, and the pads come falling off. But
after the game is very key because it's just a couple rips, and you're like, off me.
I did, out of principle, get 1 leather strap on each pad.
I do the same thing.
Yeah,
I feel like I have to have at least 1.
Yeah, I couldn't totally get rid of it. And it was funny because Tori was like, are you sure you want that? And I was like, I don't need it. And it's the one at the top that literally does nothing.
You leave it super loose. And
all right, but I said, it's the principle of going from 7 to none just seems wrong.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go flurry and just have them all. But
right.
Yeah, I was like, no, I feel like I need something.
No, I think that's a good style call. Like,
yeah,
you got to hold on to that somewhere.
And it's kind of that safety net in case the Velcro gives way, like we saw was it Vasilevsky that happened to, where his pad
Yeah.
came off? Like, it's not going to fall down and expose the whole leg, but it's going to give me enough time to be like, wait a minute, here we go. Because that's the nice thing about the beer leagues too. If your pad starts falling off and you go like this, the refs are going to blow the whistle. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, play's not going to continue like NHL, and you don't have a mask on, and they're still shooting pucks.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, I still got the leather one just out of principle. So when you tape your stick, do you go heel to toe or toe to heel?
I go heel to toe, and actually, like, I remember when I was playing college club, I had some buddies kind of call me out because I start like kind of up on the paddle a bit, and I go down.
Me too. Yeah.
And that whole thing started because I was taking my sticks and they were literally being held together by tape. So like I made sure to tape up high to kind of keep it all together.
Well, I think that's where you can really tell the older goalies from the younger goalies, because we started out using wood sticks, and that's why we went up the paddle. Christian goalie sticks are famous for it, where it would start splitting. It's kind of like a sponge. So every goalie I know who had a Christian stick has the same story of putting a little wood glue in there, putting it in the vise overnight, and then taping the heck out of it. But that's why we did it. It was because those heels absorbed the water and started to split, and we didn't want to buy new sticks until it actually broke. Whereas the composites, you don't need to do that anymore. So I think that's one of those things where you can tell the older goalie from the younger goalie just by looking at their sticks when you walk in the rink.
Right. Yeah.
It's one of those fun things. So what's your favorite number to wear and why?
So I wanted to wear 31 growing up. That was always like my number. I don't know why specifically. I don't know. I just like 31, but now lately I've been feeling the number one. My teams that play men's league with, they're like, oh, what number you want? Not that it matters. And I tell them just put number one up there. Number one in your program and number one in your months.
Yeah. Well, with the vintage set and everything, it works because I don't know if you know the story, but back in the days when teams traveled by train, you were assigned your sleeping berth by the number on your jersey. And the lower the number, the bigger the bed. So all the goalies wanted the big bed. That's why they were number one. That's why a lot of the stars of the time had single-digit numbers, because they wanted the bigger bed.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's like
that's interesting.
That's why number one is a goalie number. Otherwise, who knows what it would be. I always like asking the why, because now you got goalies wearing 88 and 19 and, all these, it's like, they're not traditional goalie numbers, but what's the story behind it? Because sometimes the story is cooler than the fact that they're wearing this goofy number.
Yeah. I mean, Kaz has a story for his number. It has to do with his family. And, I talked to Cody Porter, and he ended up with the number 88, and he's like, oh, I don't know, but like, I guess it kind of works. And, I was like, actually, I like the number 80 because it's my birth year.
Yeah.
And, I think if I couldn't do 31 or 1, I might copy Cody Porter and rock an 88.
Yeah. Well, I liked Carter Hart. He's 74. And that was just the number he was assigned, in rookie camp. And some kid went out and got a Carter Hart jersey, and he found out about it. And he's like, why change now? Because now the kid's going to need a new jersey, and they're not cheap.
Right.
And so it's like, that's a cool story and a cool reason why he wears such an odd number,
Right.
Because, I mean, you look at goalies, you come into a rookie camp, they just assign you a number. In fact, I've got Eddie Belfour's Upper Deck rookie card here, and he's wearing number 31, which is great.
There you go.
And what I love is when he signed the card, he actually signed it 31. That's his attention to detail. But he's also the last Blackhawk goalie to wear the number 1. He wore it in a preseason game before it was retired. So it's like, they just assign numbers to guys. They don't know if they're going to stick around or not. And then when they're told, hey, find a place to live, then they ask, what number do you want?
Right.
At least that's what I've been told. So last question, and I'm sure we're still probably going to keep talking. What advice do you have for young goaltenders?
This question I usually answer the same, and it's to focus on having fun. I mean, you can, I think building a foundation is very important for younger goalies. It's something that, even I'm still doing now. And I think a lot of pros do really well is, They have a very strong, solid foundation. Fundamentals are so big for goaltending, but you got to keep the morale up. You got to have fun. You got to enjoy what you're doing. And, I think that kind of gets forgotten with, youth hockey along the way. So I think that should be a big focus too, is enjoying yourself.
And I think the last year and a half has really driven that home for a lot of people too. It's like, we don't know when if this skate is going to be our last skate for 12 months. So have fun.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, I remember when they decided to, shut down the NHL and NBA and beer league and all that stuff. The Hawks, I forget who they were playing that night, but I had a game. I was playing in the 3M league, and before the game, we're seeing on our phones that the NBA was canceling the rest of the season. I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. And so we play our game, and luckily that particular rink, there's a bar connected to it, and they always had 2-for-1s after the game. So we went over there, ordered our beers, and the Hawks game's going on, and they go, and this will be the last NHL game for who knows how long, because they're pausing the season. And we kind of looked around and go, uh-oh, they're all paused, they're not going to let the beer leagues keep going. And so then it was usually we just did our 2-for-1s and went home, but we all looked around. We're like, one more round, because this might be the last time we're together for a while.
Definitely got to soak it up.
Yeah. We just wish we would have known that while we were on the ice. Maybe they would have tried a little bit harder. Who knows?
That's true. Yeah.
It was, So having fun is definitely great advice. And not just in hockey, but whatever you do, find the joy.
Absolutely.
In it. It was, the old Ron Swanson quote, why half-ass two things when you can whole-ass one thing? And if you're doing that, you're going to have a good time.
Right.
There is a Jim Carrey quote I heard that his dad always told him. He goes, why fail at something you don't like when you can fail at something you love?
There you go.
Like, whoa. Yeah. That was I remember watching that, and it was like, couldn't sleep one night, and I watched it. I was like, mind blown. You know?
I mean, usually before like a game or a practice or, whatever it is, on my way to the rink, I try to remind myself to, manage my expectations. But the things that I can expect is to work hard, have fun. I'm going to get scored on, and I'm going to make some saves. So, as long as I'm focusing on all those things, it almost doesn't matter the outcome. It doesn't matter what happens, because if I'm working hard, good things will come from it. And as a goalie, you're going to get scored on. It's just part of the game. And I'm a goalie, I'm going to make saves. So, and as long as I'm having fun along the way, I can walk away from that skate happy.
I don't know if you've ever listened to the Goalie by Garmin podcasts, or 5-10 minute episodes, but he had on one of them, and I happened to be listening to it on the way to a game. And I was struggling of, I'm playing good, but we're getting blown out, one of these types of deals. And he said, focus on what you can control and accept that.
Control the controllables.
And I'm like, ooh. So it was like, after that game, we got blown out. But I looked back at the goals, like 3/4 of them were wide open guys on the back door that weren't covered. And I got a piece of some of them. So it was like, I played pretty good. So after the game, I was in a good mood and everything else. And they're like, whoa, what's going on? I was like, I played good. I did what I controlled what I could control. And it just totally changed my whole outlook on beer league hockey.
And I think it doesn't matter what level you play. I think having a good mentality about it is very important, especially if you're playing a lot. And even playing beer league, you need a little refresher every once in a while.
Absolutely. Well, Dustin, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. We were supposed to record earlier this week, but my kids had back to school orientation that we got the email the night before. So I was like, great. So thanks for being flexible.
No worries.
Hopefully we get together while I'm in town.
Definitely.
If not after the game, we'll figure something out. I'm excited, and hopefully we get you up here for the Expo, and we get some content together.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. That'll definitely have to happen.
Yep, I know where to find you on social, so I'll make sure to put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if people aren't following you already, how did they find this podcast at the same time? Because you're more out there than I am, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just like the mentality going into a game. I'm just trying to have fun and learn some things along the way, and whatever comes from it, whatever comes from it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I had somebody ask, well, what's your long-term goals for, the podcast and Wash Up Goalie and all of this? And I was like, I don't have any. I'm doing this because it's fun,
Right. Yeah.
And like, I have no grand expectations of making money off of it or, turning it into a full-time job. It's like, this is just,
It's a hobby.
yeah, it's a hobby. And, like the whole podcast is my first job out of college. I was a reporter and I love talking to people and finding out their stories. And I like to think I was good at it because I won awards. But like I've missed some of that. My wife could pick up on that, and she was like, "You need something." So, she kind of gave me the push to do this, and I'm grateful for it because it's locker room talk with other goalies, and it's fun. And as long as I can schedule goalies to talk to, I'm going to do it. And when I can't, okay, that's the end of the road. And I have to laugh. I just got my daily email from the
Right.
Nashville realtor with the latest houses on the market. So, yeah.
Very important stuff. Very important.
Yep. Like, always looking, always keep an eye on what's out there. And, that's one of the nice things, we've had the conversation of we're currently in one of the best school districts in our state. So when we moved, we didn't want to just be like, okay, now you're going into, a comparably lesser school district. So that really pigeonholed us with where we were looking in Nashville.
Yeah.
And so we're like, well, if we wait till the kids are out of college or out of high school and in college, then school district doesn't matter to us.
Right.
And it opens up a few other options for us that we kind of liked, but just didn't work because of school district. In fact, the one area, I forget the name of it, it's kind of on the north end of the rivers and stuff. It's like, we kind of liked that area. There was a lot of, there was quite a few Starbucks. There was, Sam's Club, all the things.
Yeah.
There was a Home Goods for my wife. And I did the MapQuest, see how far of a drive it was to the ice rink, and it wasn't any longer than I've got now. So it's like, okay, this is a good area. And we're like, oh, the school district doesn't work for us. So I was like, if we wait a little while, then that doesn't
opens up some options.
Issue. Yeah. So, well, awesome. Well, I'm going to let you get back to your weekend because it's Labor Day weekend here in the States, and we should get some relaxation in.
Right. Yeah. We deserve it.
Although my relaxation when I'm done talking to you is going downstairs and ripping out a vanity in our powder room, and then working on some more lights and building a bookshelf for cookbooks. And yeah.
So labor. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Working on this kitchen renovation. I told my teammate who's, kind of doing the lion's share of it, is like, I really hope I don't see you this weekend because I want you to enjoy it. And he's like, no, I want to get this job done. And this, that. I was like, that means I got to do work too, bud.
Yeah, right. Well, you got to get that out of the way so you can enjoy hockey later on.
Yeah. I mean, granted, once he's done here, there's still work that's got to be done. Like, we got to wait a couple weeks so the countertops come in because we can't measure for them till they're all installed. Then we got to wait for that. Then we got to wait for appliances. So it's like, we'll be about 3/4 of the way there once his work is done. Right. But the other stuff, again, that's hired out. Somebody else is doing it. I don't have to worry about it.
Perfect.
So, yeah. Well, have a good one. And hopefully I see you in a couple weeks, and hopefully get to show off some new goalie equipment here soon. That you'll be oogling over awesome. the way I did your true set when that came in. It had to have been like a week after we talked last time that you got that set. And I was like, oh, you're killing me. You're killing me,
yeah,
Smalls.
that's exciting stuff. Yeah, we definitely got to keep in touch, and I definitely can't wait to see your new set.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the video Jordy Oberg from the Ultimate Fan Cave did for the CCM Axis line. And I was like, Jordy, I need your shot list because I need to do that with my pads when they come, because
Definitely.
he just did an awesome view. It's like, I don't have the backyard rink ready to go yet. It's going to be probably 2-3 months till it's cold enough for that. But it's like, I can find ice somewhere. I can,
Oh yeah.
some rat hockey, and they're pretty sparse these days, so I can set something up and redo that. I'm excited. I'm excited to reveal them, because I got V9s, but I didn't get the V9 graphic. I got something a little different, so it'll be cool.
Oh yeah, definitely looking forward to see that.
Well, thanks again, bud, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on again.
It was great talking to Dustin again. As I said earlier, we've messaged quite a bit over the last year, but it's still nice to talk via video chat. Be sure to follow him on Instagram at dembones_dembones, and subscribe to his YouTube channel at BonesyTV. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube simply by searching for Wash Up Goalie, and I'll pop up. Visit washupgoalie.com for some great hockey-related content, my beer league hockey video highlights, and of course, all podcast episodes. If you want some Wash Up Goalie or Tendy Talk apparel, be sure to visit my Threadless shop by clicking the merchandise link on my website. If you like this podcast, go listen to the BLPA Big Show. It's the OG BLPA Podcast Network show where a couple of beer league players talk beer league hockey, draft experience shenanigans, and exploits from around the game. The show is hosted by Nick Jones and previous Tendy Talk guest Trish Dangles. Be sure to check out the full lineup of hockey-related podcasts on the Hockey Podcast Network as well. There are too many to list here, but shows like the Windy City Benders with former podcast guest Tanner Houston, and the Soda Pod, where they talk Minnesota Wild, hockey, and craft beer, are just a sampling of what you'll find on the Hockey Podcast Network. I need to thank the band The Zambonis for allowing me to use their music on my podcast. You can download their music on iTunes or listen wherever you stream music from. I'm working on lining up other goalies to talk to, always the hardest part of this podcast. If you are a goalie or have connections to a goalie who I should talk to, shoot me an email at washedupgoalie39@gmail.com or send me a DM on social media. Let's not forget, if you are a brand who wants to sponsor the show, be sure to reach out to me and we'll work something out. And finally, if you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment on the podcast platform you're listening on. It's a quick action on your part that helps others find Tendy Talk. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice and your body square to the puck.
You got picked last for every game. Nobody